skills, and we decided to put into a plan of action a series of live events that we would call the Ultimate. The first Ultimate will take place this August 30th from Las Vegas, and we're going to show it to you right now what the first Ultimate is. The second Ultimate will be somewhere else in the world, and we're looking at India right now, and we will talk about that in a minute. But first, let's talk about what the Ultimate is. The Ultimate is the greatest stunt a human being can do. Period. The Ultimate. So here is the first Ultimate. Eric Adolphson, please play. Do you have the audio, Eric? The floor is open. Yes, sir, in the back. Bello for you.
Thank you.
So why you choose to just come up in Bollywood instead of Hollywood? Why you just choose to come in Bollywood?
It's a great question. Why did I choose Bollywood over Hollywood? And I think you will find that both me and Neil, although we met each other a year ago, we have very similarities in our passion to bring the world to the people and people to the world. And it's not choosing Bollywood over Hollywood, it's being able to do things that entertain the world. And that is words chosen very carefully. Some people will choose to do something in their town. Some people will choose to do something in a city or in their country. We've chosen to go out and do things to the entire world and try to get everybody to see what we do. Not just to focus on us, but to focus on the destination, to focus inspiration to people. And
I think that's a very good question, and we should talk about that. So the Ultimate, number one, and then the future Ultimates will all take place on theultimate.com. So as Bello said, this is a worldwide play. India is a very important country in the world. You have a large population, you create important things, you have an important effect on your region. You're an important country and you know it. And so we're here, we're saying, yes, India is important, and we want to make sure that you are a part of this event as we move forward. So the same goes for Brazil, and Mexico, and Russia, and China, and Malaysia, all important countries. And Bello is a man of the world, so the stunts will all take place on a global platform, which is the internet, www.theultimate.com. We have a partner in Major League Baseball in the United States. Major League Baseball is the governing body of the sport baseball, and they are the ones who are building our infrastructure of our web. So the internet, our website will be strong and will not crash. Yes, next question.
Sorry for interrupting. Actually, can we just show the AV, which is like, where he is? This was the graphic one. Can we just show the live one? Actually, where you have it.
Yes, sure. We'll watch some live footage. Which one are we watching here?
with the actual stuff.
See if they have
The mixed one.
all the DO on this one.
Let's do the thing.
And then we pull the DO out of it.
No, not this one. The one
We'll show you the front half of that.
there is something which is ultimate.
Here we're going to show you some actual breakdowns of the structure and the stunt. Now this is built. It's not just an animation where we're like, oh, maybe we'll think about doing this. It's built. You're going to see it right now. So Eric is going to play some.
The whirling wheel of steel. Once it's released, the weighted side causes a pendulum effect. I'll have one shot to grab the unweighted side. The problem is, it will have a tremendous...
Download it and use it for use in the media as well. And on YouTube, on Bello's YouTube page, the Bello Knock, you can see a lot of the videos as well. There is a Hindi version on YouTube of the sizzle, the trailer for the stunt. Okay? Next question. Yes, sir.
Your press release did indicate that you are planning to get into the Bollywood industry and you're going to stay here. But I have my apprehensions here because the Bollywood industry does not see a stuntman as an explosive hero or a person who does this as an act. He is just a alternative or an add-on to a main hero. We have our stars like Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, and Amir Khan. If you were to be a stuntman to that these heroes, you are not seen on the film. You are not seen on the cellular. You are a person who is doing that act. You get paid when you leave. So the industry here, the stunt industry or the act, is basically for the children, which they get to see during a circus. We have a circus here. There's a circus here, or there is an activity which is done in some fair or something like this talent thing. I'm not trying to belittle your activity. I'm just trying to say what the industry is all about. Because this is something which India has not grown in the last 60 years when it comes to Bollywood.
Understood.
So I'm just trying to place him 5 years down the line if he is in the industry. Is he just going to fulfill his passion, or would he be seen as a stuntman where me or my child or my wife and everybody would say that yeah, he is a hero, he is a stuntman?
I think you.
I don't think anybody here could name 5 stuntmen in the Bollywood industry.
Correct. Your points are well taken.
Very good.
So we're going in uncharted territory, to be honest. And this has never existed anywhere in Hollywood or Bollywood, for that matter. And where the industry is going to be in 5 years is anybody's guess. We're seeing great things changing right now. And we believe we are playing right in the center of it by doing this as a global digital play. So you're correct that a stuntman in Hollywood or Bollywood would never have much fanfare, but a superhero would. So does Bello's character and personality grow beyond just the stunt itself and become a character that exists in content? We believe it does. And we also believe that we'll be able to see an American performer exist on the celluloid or the digital, in the storyline, in an organic way, of course. So that would be for producers and directors down the line in Bollywood or in Hollywood to say, well, how can I take the skills and the talent and the performance that Bello offers and incorporate it into the live action of the storytelling that I have? Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it probable? Absolutely. In Bollywood, it's a lot more complicated. For sure. I think we'll see an organic shift to Bello making television appearances in India, doing live events very specifically that will take place in India and then pushed out on a global scale, playing on the Ultimate. There's no reason why people in North America and Europe and other parts of Asia or Australia can't say, this Saturday, I'm tuning in to see a live event from India. And as a result of this, people are going to learn the character that makes up Bello. I mean, his character as a human and his character as a character are the same. He's a great guy. He's been married to his high school sweetheart, his third grade sweetheart, since the third grade. I know India is a country that represents family, that really believes in good family values. Bello is the best family man I've ever met in my life. 4 kids, 1 adopted, no alcohol, no drugs, no tattoos. It's about family and bringing family entertainment to the world. That's what he's about. So how that translates into true content in Bollywood in a year or 5 years, I think we're going to see over time. I think initially it will be live action of the character of Bello, but as we all learn about his true interpersonal characters, we will say, all right, well maybe there's a cartoon. Cartoons play perfectly in India. Again, not traditional Bollywood big musicals, but there's entertainment that can grow here and organically be devised here with Bello as a featured character right on the front page of it all in your various languages. I think that what he's about will translate not only to the Indian culture, but culture globally. Bello, what do you think?
Thank you very much. It's hard to top someone like him talking so nice about me, but I think when you talk about you've seen stuff at a circus, I can answer that. You've seen stuff on TV shows, and I can answer that. You've seen live events, and I can answer that. If you knew my history and where I come from, 7 generations of my family have been entertainers. My father's family, Circus Knock, is the oldest circus that's still owned by the same family. 7 generations back, it dates to 1772. Now, there are older circuses, but not people that have owned their own circus for that long. So I've done circus. I've headlined some of the biggest circuses around the world. I've won the highest honor in circus. But there's something that happens in circus, and that is you have to sell a ticket and people have to come inside, and it's in a closed environment. And with that closed environment, you can only fit so many people. So then people say, well, let's move to TV. Well, TV, if you do something in America on NBC or on the Discovery Channel, you only have access to so many people because people in Russia, India, Mexico may not have that channel. And it may be at a different time of the year or a different time of the day. So they might not be able to see it. So then you look for the next larger audience. And what would that be? The internet. It's the way to be able to reach everyone. So maybe over time, I don't want to talk too much, but I want to tell you, 7 generations of my family have been entertainers. I started performing professionally. My first job, I was 6, 7, and 8 years old. I was on Broadway. In Peter Pan, I was little Michael Darling for 6 months on Broadway, and then I toured the world. When I was 7 years old, I had been 3 times around the world. At 9 years old, I started walking wires, and at 14 years old, I started doing stunts. So there's a deep history in me. I've done stunt doubles for many people, for Batman movies and live shows. I've done the Power Rangers, where I've stunt doubled and made other people look good. And I'm happy doing that. But now it got to a point where you go, this doesn't fit in a helmet. This doesn't fit looking like someone else. And I couldn't double someone else because there's no one else that can do what I do. If some of you, there are many, many wonderful elite daredevils out there. I'm either friends with them, have trained with them, or trained some of the other great stunt men out there. Not so much stuntmen, daredevils. The people that do some of the craziest things at Cirque du Soleil, I've trained the people that have trained them. The man who walked over the Grand Canyon, he worked for me and trained under me for 3.5 years. So there's a deep history behind me. And my whole thing is not about doing something that's attention grabbing just to say, look at me. It's about trying to find ways to have people around the world to see what it's like to be up there with me. And we proved that when I walked 882 feet long, and I was able to take pictures, tweet, and text, and do interviews from that high wire, and sort of give everyone my point of view. That's what it's all about for me.
You connect to the internet? See if you can get on the internet, then you can access the site, and you can show some of the stuff from New York Times Square. Next question, please.
So as of now, what's the present status as far as this part of the industry is concerned? Has he signed up with some animation companies? Has he signed up with some film producers? Will he be visible on the screen? When is that expected?
We're having explorations right now with meetings. We're talking to people right now. So we're not ready to announce any specific Bollywood connections just yet. There are some talks, there are some relationships that are looking to grow. Our current sort of announcement for India would be our intention to walk the Sea Lake Bridge.
So, Bello, who are the actors and actresses in Bollywood you would like to work with?
You know what? At this point, I don't want to name any names yet because we're having conversations. We actually are having genuine conversations, and you know how it goes. Loose lips sink ships. So, sir, you got a question?
To Bello? Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Your art, as we call it, requires extreme concentration. I mean, you must be on the world number 1 person to have that kind of concentration, which nobody else has. We always get distracted. If I were or
Eric,
any normal person would
make sure they get
try
high
to do
speed.
a tight stroke, you would look
High
down,
speed
you would
internet.
get scared. So what is the secret
High
of
speed.
success? Are you doing some kind of exercises, mental exercises, yoga or meditation? What is the secret of your success in keeping your concentration so well focused?
Thank you. It's a great question because I believe for each one of us in our different experiences and our different trainings, we all can adapt ourselves or familiarize ourselves or see things with a different set of eyes. Some people would look at someone else doing something and saying, wow, that's dangerous. I might look at it and say, oh, okay, we could have done this better, or wow, that's great. So because I've learned my craft and the art at such a young age, I learned the discipline. I'm going to share something with you. I have ADD. I can get distracted very easily unless I'm doing something that tremendously matters to me, and in many points, my life is on the line. But even when I'm practicing, so there's a hyper focus that happens with me also, and that's something that is learned at a very young age. So it's not a meditation for me, although that may work for others. It's not one simple form. I just make sure that there's a good balance. And no one can explain that better than someone who uses extreme balance and physically walking high wires. You can be ADD and all over the place when it's just an enjoyable time, but when it comes time for
Scroll down.
what most people would consider work, there's a hyper focus. I'm not thinking about what's for dinner when I'm up on the high wire.
Any
Look at the
incident
Times
you
Square,
would like
Bello.
to share,
Look at the Times Square stuff.
Yeah.
particularly
Scroll down.
something from your very young age, where something, anything.
Dennis Miller.
Yeah. A lot of people ask
Dennis
me
Miller.
about accidents,
Dennis Miller.
and that's a very good question, because obviously, if you do something over and over, you're bound to have either a mistake or you're bound to have, and there are people that go out and try things not knowing the outcome. There are people that do things for the wrong reason. They might be in the pursuit of fame and fortune. And we all know that if that is your focus, you might get there, but it won't last long. I'm very proud to say I've been performing for over 30 years in over 30 countries. I've done many, many death-defying stunts, not a single broken bone in my body. There are 3 books that came out in the past 5 to 8 years that described my father as one of the most respected men in the circus or entertainment business. He also died of natural causes, laying in bed, not a single broken bone in his body. There are other family members in circus. There are other family members in daredevilry, the Wallendas, the Knievels, that are much more famous than my last name, Knock, but I would consider for the wrong reason. They're all friends of ours. But when you can have a safety record, I would say that's something you would be more proud of than any physical achievement.
Do you have any safety precautions or a safety net while you're performing in this?
That's another great question. When I do any of these stunts, I work without a net, a safety wire, or any safeties. The safety is in the training. The safety is the long preparation. There's 2 things. One, a safety can provide a false sense of security. If you start to lose your balance, you won't fight to maintain balance, or you might not fight to catch on. You might think, well, I'm going to fall and the net will catch me. Sometimes the net or airbag may not do what it's supposed to do. The safety may not do what it's supposed to do. Or sometimes it's not there. Where I perform, it's usually too high for a net or an airbag. It will do no good, because anything over 100 feet, a net or an airbag is not designed for. And anything under 100 feet, 150 feet, a parachute doesn't work. It takes a minimum of about 500 feet for a parachute to open. So, also in my business, around the world, people will say, good luck. And in my world, there is no such thing as good luck. It's when preparation meets opportunity. If you prepare hard enough and long enough, when you're given the opportunity, there's nothing that can stop you.
A dangerous as well as at a time side you belong.
Well, I'm going to say I'm also a man, I love choosing my words carefully. And when there are many other daredevils and stuntmen out there, and people that do these types of things. And they're usually great people in their pursuit, and they usually do one thing very well, but they do one thing for a duration. They might hold their breath underwater, fall from sky, walk somewhere. I even did that, where you're about to see that I sat on, to announce theultimate.com, I sat on a high wire for 8 hours and did interviews. 3 stories in the air. So that's one thing for a duration. But I thought about, if I was going to do something that was, and you have to watch, as a physical daredevil, you see an animation. It's not real. Someone sat by a computer and made that. Ultimately, on August 30th, I need to do what we said we were going to do. And I've always done what I said I'm going to do. There's a balance there. And so what that challenge is how many stunts can I do in the shortest amount of time? We live in an ADD world. We live in a world where people want that now. Did you get the email? Did you get my text? Get my phone call? We want it now. Print it. Do it. Well, I live in that world, in my brain and in my life. Well, I've prepared for the opportunity of a lifetime, meeting Neil Mant and Mant Brothers, who I would love to tell you more about in a second. These are the people that brought you, if you know it or not, they brought India to the world. These are the people, Neil Mant and his brother, Mant Brothers, brought Last Stop for Charlie, Last Stop for Paul, $1 Million Arm.
$1 Million Arm is our India project. We had a film that's out right now from Disney called $1 Million Arm, and it's a true story about Indian baseball players.
Yeah, so they actually represented your country to the world. Millions of people have seen it, but it also helps stimulate the economy here and tourism. And that's what we're that's one part of what we're pursuing, of what we're wanting to do here. It's got to be a win-win-win situation. It's got to be just as good for you as it is for us. But about the stunts, the ultimate on August 30th will be the single hardest task, feat, or stunt that a human being has ever tried. Because usually you can gear up and wear gear for one stunt. No safety, no net, no line. You can't wear these big football pads or big pads if you're going to get shot out of a cannon or be agile and climb a pole. So every time you do one more stunt, it negates the gear that you need to wear. So it makes it so dangerous and so difficult. If you look at the statistics of some of the things, there have been 24 people that have got shot out of a cannon, and 12 of them have been successful. And by successful, we say they haven't lost their life doing it. Doesn't mean they didn't get hurt. So now that's just one of the elements. And in that element, I'm going to fly over a helicopter. And that's just one element of the 15.
Next question. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you said he doesn't use any tattoos or piercing as a branding. What about the hairs?
The
Yeah.
hair has been Bello's hair for a very long time. I'll let Bello chime in on that one.
To make clear, he didn't say tattoos or piercings as a branding. It's just something that I have not done. I've never tried drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Happily married for 10 years. Well, I've been married for 26 years, but I've been happily married for 10. She doesn't like that joke. The hair is something that I'd like to share this with you. It's, I think, very important. When I was 11 years old, I was in a water ski stunt show at SeaWorld of Orlando and Cypress Gardens. So I was doing a water ski stunt show. I was 11 years old, and I was working with about 30 other stuntmen or daredevils. They were all about 18 to 30 years old. And they all got short haircuts because it looks good in and out of the water doing stunts. Well, I wanted to be like them if I was going to work with them. I got a crew cut. I'm very fair-skinned, so a half hour out in the sun, I get a sunburn. I've never tanned in my life. Well, I sunburned the top of my head. Means you don't want to touch it, right? So a week later, I was like, just better leave it. 2 weeks later, my hair is growing a little bit. Oh, it's standing up. A couple weeks later, it is about that tall. And I'm in entertainment. I'm also a kid who loves attention. Look at me. I always have been like that. Well, people started looking at me, and entertainment is not a bad thing. It is when you're a naughty kid and you say, it wasn't me. Oh, it must have been the other kid with foot-tall hair. It's red. So, at my wedding, I wore my hair like this. My dad's funeral, I wear my hair like this. When my kids were born, the first thing they saw was a man with hair like this. I have worn my hair like this every day, even if I'm not performing, if I go shopping with my family, no matter where I go. So this is a part of who I am. Bello is not a made-up name. It is one of my birth-given real names. So what you see is what you get. I would venture to say I'm the ultimate reality show.
Yes, next question. Yes, sir.